Hi, welcome to another episode of Water and Wastewater Asia. Today, we have Sam Rebera, the CEO of Cisgenics, an irrigation technology founded in 1979. In this discussion, we talk about the company's recent shift towards artificial intelligence-driven irrigation control systems that leverage sensors for data collection on environmental conditions. We talk about the smartest garden in the world and how Cisgenics plans to enter markets in Australia, the Middle East, and the United States. This is our first time Water and Wastewater Asia is featuring Cisgenics. So could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and the company?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the director of Cisgenics, managing director of Cisgenics. I've recently taken over from the previous owner, David Chua, who still remains part of the business. Now, Cisgenics was formed in 1979 in the United States as a golf course installer of irrigation. And we have a rich history. We have installed over 200 golf courses around the world. And over the last 30 years, we've been based in Singapore. And we've come to be known as one of the premier installers of irrigation systems in this region. So in Singapore, we've undertaken more iconic jobs like Gardens by the Bay, the Jewel at Changi Airport, a lot of the road infrastructure that happens in Singapore. And over the last sort of 4 years where I've been involved, we've tried to morph away from the traditional construction side. Well, we still have the traditional construction side, but we've tried to develop a control system, which is leading irrigation control system driven by artificial intelligence, driven by sensors. So we have a rich history that we've taken advantage of and try to convert that into the control space of irrigation.
Could you elaborate a little bit more about how AI, right, how it optimizes the water use and you guys do the green assets. So perhaps tell us more about how the technology side of things work here.
Sure. So what we do is we drive irrigation through sensors. So what that enables us to do is to collect massive amounts of data about environmental conditions, about conditions of plants, and so on. So with that, we're already able to deliver precision watering. But outside of that, we can harness the power of AI to look at crop yields, look at predicting weather patterns, evapotranspiration patterns. So the data that we collect is very useful in the formulation of AI algorithms and machine learning algorithms to deliver water and save water, and also to look at plant health and plant yields.
Tell us a bit more about the application of your technology. So across Southeast Asia, right, I think one thing that you guys talked about was about enhancing sustainability in rice cultivation. So tell us how Cisgenics do that.
Yeah. So when we look at sustainability, we can look at the benefits in two ways. So there are the direct benefits, obviously, which is the reduction of water, and in turn the reduction of the energy consumption. But if we look at the rice trial that we're doing with Temasek Life Sciences, the goal there is, one, to reduce the water consumption, but two, to reduce the overall carbon footprint. And how do we do that? We look at alternate ways of growing rice in this particular case. So what happens is traditionally rice is grown using flood irrigation. We are exploring growing rice through drip irrigation. Now, flood irrigation is a big emitter of methane when it's cultivated. Now, drip irrigation reduces that methane emission quite dramatically. So we have the direct benefits and we have the indirect benefits of our irrigation system and understanding how the crop develops as a result of drip irrigation.
Okay, so can we zoom in a little bit more, the case study in Singapore? So you did some work at Gardens by the Bay. So could you tell us how Cisgenics identified the multiple microclimates when the water requirements vary for each plant? I think that was a bit fascinating. So tell us more about this project at Gardens by the Bay, which is close to home.
Yeah, sure. So When we identify microclimates, we look at the various plant types, we look at the soil types, and we look at the environmental conditions. Then we identify specific microclimates. So there could be canopies, there could be open fields. So once we do that, what we do is we assign sensors to each of those microclimates, and we decide on how much water to deliver to that microclimate. So in doing that, we get down to a micro level. We look at individual plants and their soil types and deliver only what those plants need. So the benefit of doing that is we don't broad brush the watering process. We really target what's needed where. So for Gardens by the Bay, there's two sides to Gardens by the Bay. Gardens by the Bay, which we know now, was installed 10 years ago. So Gardens by the Bay are now more and more looking at becoming a smart garden. And what we are doing is we're helping them install these sensors, retrofitting these sensors to understand what's happening and to deliver the correct amount of water. But Bay East Garden, which is across the bay, which is a 38-hectare site, which our control system is specified in on, and also we are the contractor for that project, that is potentially going to be the smartest garden in the world. At Bay East Garden, we're expecting to install a soil moisture sensor at every single zone, which means your watering accuracy, your optimization becomes even better. So this is how we're helping Gardens by the Bay and working with Gardens by the Bay to optimize the water usage and also collect big data for the AI process in the future.
Nice. Is there like a statistics that you can share on the tip of your fingertips about how the water percentage, using your sensors, how has water been conserved? How much percentage what was the change when you started using the sensors and before that?
Sure. So we have several sites in Australia now, and one of the sites is at a council site, municipality. And what's happened on that side is we've seen during the summer months, the water consumption reduce as a result of the use of our sensors by around 30 to 40% based on traditional irrigation methods. And outside of the summer months, we're seeing up to 60 to 70% of water reduction in the same council. And what's the proof? The proof is they have the greenest assets in the whole council using our product. So the proof's in the pudding. The assets aren't suffering, but we're reducing water consumption.
Right. That's quite telling. So what do you think is the most revolutionary thing about your technology for the irrigation industry when it comes to water conservation specifically?
Look, we definitely optimize water at a traditional irrigation level. And we do that by using actual real-time IoTs and sensors. Now, what else we do to make it more revolutionary is, I think you know about building management systems for buildings, but we have now become essentially an outdoor management system. Now, what do I mean by that? We look at sensor data and sensor parameters within and outside of irrigation. We can switch water sources based on things like salinity and other environmental conditions so that you're optimizing the most efficient source of water. We can manage irrigation and the water supply to the irrigation across the city. For example, in Australia, we are looking at pressures and flow rates for the entire city, not just on a specific site. And obviously, as I mentioned, we have the ability to develop and integrate AI very easily into our platform as a result of the data we are collecting.
Thank you, Sam. I think we're at our last question already. So it's about the expansion plans that Cisgenics have. So I know that Cisgenics is planning to establish a subsidiary in Australia. So can you tell us the process about it and how will it expand its presence in Southeast Asia within the next 6 months?
Sure. So before I get to that, let me just explain what our vision is, and that will sort of lead into why we want to expand. Now, we want to be at the forefront of irrigation and sustainability, and the real vision is for us to be the most technologically advanced irrigation system and outdoor sensing platform in the world, driven through sustainability goals. Now, when it comes to expansion plans, Singapore will always be the headquarters globally. We will also look after the Southeast Asian region, but with the traction that we're getting from countries like Australia, the Middle East, and the US, we need to and have already started the process of taking on board resources to help us with that. So we already have a general manager appointed in Australia. Cisgenics Australia will be formed in the next month or so. And we also have representatives now in the Middle East and also the United States, which we believe will be key markets for us.
Thank you so much, Sam. Is there anything else you want to add to this interview?
That's about it from me. I think I've explained most of what I needed to say.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we're done.